Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the most must-see podcast here in the NJSSL. Welcome to the Cutting Redge. We are joined today live by what is going to be hopefully the most interesting guest that we have all season here in the NJSSL football. We are joined by one of the captains. He is a defending champion as he was a member of the NJSSL Falcons. So he is now a captain of Advanced Dental Clinic. That is Irfan Zaidi's dental clinic. He is one of the most underrated men in NJSSL football as he goes year after year unrecognized, unnoticed for his hard work defensively as a guy who always is in top 5 in tackles every season. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, Naqi Abbas.
Assalamu alaikum, Reg. How's it going? I have three quick things. First of all, it's a pleasure to be the second time. I know I was on the episode a while back with the Titans and Lions here, and so always a pleasure to be back. Secondly, I've loved the absolute consistency that you offer here, all the memes that come from this, all the healthy trash talk. It's incredible. It's great for the league, so I appreciate you for the consistency. And then last but not least, I've told you this before, but thanks again for all your efforts with the Falcons. I think that was such a magical year, and it was great to spend that time with you and obviously with the rest of the team. And I think it will be a recurring theme hopefully this year, but we were predicted last year to go like winless and 0-5 or whatever, and came out on top. So thank you for all your efforts there. And I'll never forget that year. So appreciate that.
100%, man. Likewise, the Falcons was definitely a solid team. I think arguably one of the best teams ever created. And as you mentioned, right, they were predicted to be 0-5 by almost the entire league. And you know what's crazy about that is that you this year are also predicted to go 0-5 or 0 whatever, how many games they're going to be this year, by essentially every other captain with the team that you've concocted. I will say, in defense of Falcons, I think I rated them 3rd or 4th last year. But I do have you kind of towards the end, just for a couple of reasons. But I want to hear your thought process. How did you put this team together? What was your thought process behind putting this team together, and why are you not going to go 0-7 or however many games there are?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I'd say first thing before I even get to that is I'm quite offended not by the roast of my team, but by the fact that the roasts have been so uncreative. Like I've heard a lot of times now that I'm the captain of the worst leadership and the worst athleticism, and that our team has no quarterback and no offensive line. And there's only so many times you could hear that. It's like I want people to get more creative with the roasts and really jab us sort of everywhere. But they've only been talking about those things. So we've discussed as a team, should we agree with these roasts? Should we fight against them? Should we laugh at them? It's all been very funny, but I hope the roasts get hopefully more creative over the year. But yeah, when building the team, I think I wanted to construct a team very similar to the Falcons, and so I think I'm probably the only captain that doesn't really value the I don't want to say value, but I don't really believe too much in the tall wide receivers. And so I don't in First Take before, but whenever Stephen A used to like criticize LeBron, he would always start by saying LeBron's a great philanthropist and he's a great father and a great leader, and he'd say all those things so that LeBron wouldn't get offended by his actual critique of his basketball or whatever. And so before I say this critique, I want to say I love Farhan and Shah and Shahrukh and all of these tall Hussein and all these tall wide receiver ones. But I just don't think that NJSSL football is as easy as taking a snap and chucking it deep 40 yards and doing that 7 times a game and just spamming that and getting touchdowns. And so because of that lack of belief in a true tall 6-foot plus wide receiver one, I said, look, I already have Mehdi. I knew when I got the last pick that Mehdi was the only real viable option for me there as a weapon. And so I said, I already have him. He can run deep, he can run short, he can run intermediate. I'm pretty good with him. I don't want to pair him with Shahrukh now because I don't personally believe that you can just spam these deep balls in this league. Maybe in the NFL you could do this, but not in NJSL football. And so that's why I got Qasim, also one of my close friends, but he's obviously a shorter receiver. He's able to run short, intermediate, and deep as well. Wide receiver of the year. He's been that 2 times before. And in my opinion, he is a bona fide number 1. Gets a bad rep just because he might not be as tall as like the Husseins of the world or whatever. And so I thought linking him and Mehdi was absolutely perfect. And then we pretty much took the team from there and built built the quarterback out, built the line out, built the other weapons out. But this is a defense first team, similar to the Falcons, and I think last year just opened my mind up, and the Titans here as well, that a lot of positions in this league, a lot of player types are very misvalued by a lot of the members of the league,
Sure.
and I just don't think of those types of positions yet with as much value as others do. And so I sort of built this team how sort of I wanted, and we'll see whether that leads to 0-5 or 5-0. But I'm pretty confident it'll lead to the latter, and just can't wait for the season to start.
100%. So as you mentioned, right? Like I think the two good things about your team is you have a terrific run game. You have a terrific, you have terrific athletes. And so definitely it seems like Team Advanced Dental is going to be like a run heavy team. And so I think defenses are going to prepare for that. But I think the other good thing that you guys have is a very strong IQ team. Like you have a lot of guys that know what they're doing, and know how to plan for each of the games. And I think that definitely could go far. I will say, I think your line's not terrible. I think it's definitely decent. The biggest, basically, quote unquote downfall is that out of all the QB options that were available, your QB option is probably the least confident, or like the least, I don't know what's the word, maybe the least practice at, or general, ability to play QB compared to some of the other options that were available. Like you overlooked like an Ali Shah for your second round pick, and potential, a few other guys. I think that like maybe a Zan Mumtaz that was a potential QB. What was your thought process? And confirm with me that maybe it's Adil as your starting quarterback.
That's correct. Yeah. So we're fully behind Adil, and he's the quarterback, no questions.
Yeah.
So
So confirm with me what's your like what's your kind of game plan, or what's your logic behind starting with Adil, who or taking like an Adil over, for example, like a Shah, or a Zan Mumtaz that might have been available earlier in the draft.
yeah, no, 100%. So I think that I think Farhan, when he's playing quarterback, and possibly ZJ are the only two real outliers at quarterback, as in they're just so good that you sort of need them no matter what. I think the rest of them are pretty much equivalent, and I don't personally value it too much. Do I think an Adil can do just as good as a Taha? 100%. Taha hasn't shown me that much in the past couple of years.
Sure.
Do I think Adil is equivalent, borderline above Zan Mumtaz? I think so. He beat Zan Mumtaz during the Chiefs year when they had that quarterback battle. And so I'm fully confident there. We've had a couple practices with Adil now where we know that he, can definitely throw. I think people are acting like he doesn't even know how to throw a football, and he's played football in the league before. And so,
That's a
um,
good point. I'm going to just chime in, just to say that Adil and I had a very special connection on the Chiefs. I think all of his deeper passes went to me, and he appreciated me as a receiver. So for all the rest of you quarterbacks out there, know your receivers better. All right. Anyway, sorry. Go on.
No, 100%. And then I think we obviously took on Merchant more so for his defensive line capabilities, but he's a good sort of QB room presence to have, and then he's obviously played quarterback pretty much every year, and he's a good viable backup. And so, again, I think if we run the shorter intermediate sort of pass game, Adil could definitely execute that. He's shown us already in practice he can. Obviously, practice is in game, but I think when these games do happen as well, again, besides the ZJs and the Farhans of the world, most quarterbacks just regress to
Mm-hmm.
quite an average level, and I think most quarterbacks don't realize how the game really is. Like Taha or Zen Mumtaz might be able to throw 80 yards on a clean open field on like a random Tuesday at practice, but in game when you have 9 guys sort of playing coverage, that gets
Yeah.
significantly more difficult. And so I think that the true quarterbacks that you have to get weren't available for me, obviously, with where I was picking. And I know Shah had some availability issues, obviously flying back from Seattle sort of on a weekly
Sure.
basis. And so with that, I was like, let me just take the better players during the second and third rounds, and let me sort of push quarterback towards the end. And I might be a 1-1 in thinking that, but it's just not a position that I felt I had to sort of hit at in that second round, and so I waited a bit for that.
That's fair. That's fair. It's definitely not an incorrect approach. I think as I've always kind of advised, the best approach is always having the strongest line. Now, one of the issues with your line, I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that sometimes, given that the games are all on Saturdays, attendance may be an issue here. Do you have any comments on how you're going to potentially get past the fact that there might be days where one of your major line guys or two of your major line guys may not be present?
Yeah. So the good news is that most of them were not going to be present unless the games were early, and I believe schedule is locked now. Because we have one of the commissioners on our team, I'm glad we get certain perks. One of which was that we were able to lock in, I think, 4 9 a.m. games and one 10 a.m. game. And so, because of that, line should all be there. I told Heather, I was like, I will teach Saturday school. You go attend the game. And so that was a funny joke, but most of the lines should be there, if not all of them. And I know more who people think is never going to be available is pretty much going to be available every week and stuff like that. So,
Ah, there's
uh,
hope.
solid availability at line. Which, if you take all of our line together at the same time when they're available, I think it's a pretty strong line, and we think we get far with them. So, thankfully, that whole situation worked out.
100%, 100%. Hopefully for the future of the Saturday school kids, they don't need to make that switch between you and Heather for teaching. But but I think you'd be a good teacher. But good stuff. So it sounds like Naqi Abbas, your team is ready to go. They're not afraid to back down from any of the haters. Who would you say is the team or the player or the team that you would want to face the most, and that you want to make them eat their words so much that they go back in time and want to never be born because that's how bad you beat them.
Yeah, I would 100% choose Akbar's team. I know a lot of my friends like Shabra and Shazan are obviously captains. It would be great to beat them more from just like a friend rivalry perspective. But Akbar's team for sure, primarily because when I didn't draft Shahrukh with that seventh overall pick or sixth overall pick, and then Akbar got him, I remember getting my phone blew up more than it's ever blown up before. 2,000 unread messages across like a bunch of different WhatsApp chats saying you didn't draft Sharo, you totally failed, you suck, you're horrible, you're a terrible human being, all that fun stuff. And I think that's because ZJ and Sharo, one, believe that they're an incredible tandem together, and that two, that they could just spam that deep ball 500 times a game, or that on D line they'll just be incredible and get to the quarterback every single time.
I
And
think I think you brought up a good point. I just want to mention I don't think ZJ nor Shahrukh, and correct me if I'm wrong, have ever won a single championship in football.
I don't think so either. No, I
I
know
know
ZJ.
the Giants didn't win. I know the Dolphins didn't win. I know the Titans never won. The Panthers never won. And I don't even remember what the other teams. Oh, the 49ers. Yeah, 49ers probably one of the worst teams I've ever seen in my life. So yeah, that's yeah. So yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Continue with what you're saying.
No, no, absolutely, and so they've never won obviously separately, and I don't think they're going to be that crazy together. I think that team, and I'll flat out say it. I think besides Shar barely has any weapons. Mo Bungush is obviously a stud, but like he's going to commute from Delaware every time, so who knows about his availability? Who knows about Sharrock's availability? God knows he hasn't shown up for a full seasons ever. And again, I can't wait to inshallah beat them. I have full confidence just to make them eat those 10,000 WhatsApp messages. And Reg, you remember we faced Shark last year in the Giants sort of semifinal, and I was not scared at all. I mean, the zone defense we operated was so incredible, and we limited him to like 3 catches, 22 yards. So he's Mr. 22 at that point. So I pretty much don't fear him at all. I don't really fear ZJ with his like broken knees, and so can't wait to play that team. I hope they've used this as bulletin board material, whatever, all those mind games. I don't believe in any of that, but can't wait to play their team.
I was gonna say it's usually never a good idea to enrage the beasts, but in this case, I think you have to enrage them, and you got everyone's got to bring back up their words. So
Yeah.
inshallah, we'll have to see what happens. All right, Nak. Any final words for any of your detractors or anyone who thinks that you just can't cut it this year?
Yeah, I've loved all the trash. So I think the silver lining is that there's zero pressure on us. If our ceiling is 0-5, then I think any game is a plus. So, there's zero pressure on our team. I know internally there's more belief than ever before. We know we have the strongest defense in the league. We know our quarterback is serviceable. We know we have three bona fide weapons with Qasim, Mehdi, and Nathani there. And we have significant depth as well beyond that. And we think we have a solid line as well that's going to be available. And so we're all super excited. I think if I were to just generally think of teams, I think Shazan has probably the best team, but that's fully dependent on how Shazan does. Obviously, if he does terrible, then the whole team is sort of wasted. And so, inshallah, he does terrible.
Final take.
No.
Adil versus Shazan. Who do you think to be a better quarterback?
I think as of this moment, obviously Shazan, simply because he's had, I think, more experience than Adil. And he's
He's,
obviously
he's had more experience being a terrible quarterback, that's for sure.
Oh, that's 100% for sure. I think he's taking more reps than Adel for sure. I think for now though, with our weapons, Adel can probably eventually do better. But Shazan's probably, he's played quarterback since he was like a lot younger, and so he's had some of that
Sure.
experience. Granted, it's been terrible for him, but uh, yeah, I think that's the best thing. I think other than that, there's very few teams that have as many weapons as we do, and so and I don't think any team has as good of a defense as we do, and so I'm pretty confident against all these guys. I think NFL is a game of like inches and moments and all that stuff. I think NJSL is just a game of probabilities at the end of the day, and if you could sort of hammer out or sort of stop the high probability plays, the low probability ones like the deep ball or these crazy defensive blitzes and stuff, like those don't really work in this league. And again, I might be a one-to-one thinker in that, but I'm pretty confident. I think we have the guys to again to stop all those high probability plays, and I think we'll go pretty far this year. So excited to go 7-0.
Inshallah, inshallah. We look forward to it, Naq. We look forward to it. I think this year is going to be a great season of NJSL football. I look forward to catching the games each week, as long as they are. And this is I want you to make sure you tell on Merchant this too, in case he forgets. Put the games on YouTube so that I can watch them and without having too much trouble finding them. And then we'll have some great cutting redges this year. Inshallah, it's going to be a solid season. And thank you so much for joining, Nak. It is always a pleasure to see you and to have you on the cast. And inshallah, we look forward to watching you dominate the season.
Yeah, inshallah. Sounds good, Rich. Thank you so much again. Stay consistent with all these. We all love them. And yeah, definitely continue trash. Like, I thought the clown edit on me was perfect. Like it aligned symmetrically perfectly. And so keep doing what you're doing. And this is great for the league. So love being here and welcome to come back anytime. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for all the love, my friends. Talk to you soon.